Hello friends, this is Neha. Welcome to AK Academy. In the last lecture we have seen the application of CFSC. In this particular lecture we will see the very important topic, that is Jahn-Taylor distortion. So the thing is, let us start with the topic. The thing is that a 6 coordinated complex will be called as a regular octahedral complex. A 6 coordinated complex will be called as a regular octahedral complex if the 6 distances between the metal and the ligand is same. If the 6 distance between metal and ligands are same, then we call such complex as a regular octahedral complex. Or in other words, a regular octahedral complex will be formed if suppose the arrangement of electron in the T2G and in an EG orbital, if it is same. Why means if there is if it is symmetrical, if suppose the arrangement of electron in EG and T2G orbital, if it is symmetrical, all the ligands, which are all the 6 ligands, they will be repelled by an equal amount. So the thing is that that's the and then we will get the regular octahedral complex. But if the T2G and EG orbitals are not symmetrically filled, or in other words, if suppose the EG and T2G orbitals are unsymmetrically filled, then a regular octahedral geometry will be unstable geometry, and that's why it will transform into a distorted octahedral geometry. So, and such distorted octahedral geometry is called as tetragonal distorted geometry, or we can call it as it is called as tetragonal distortion. We know that the EG orbital, that is dx square minus y square and dz square orbital, the ligands are going to approach in the same direction, and that's the reason when EG orbitals are unsymmetrically filled, we see a strong kind of distortion taking place in the octahedral complexes, and we know that the T2G orbitals are lying in between. That's why when T2G orbitals are unsymmetrically filled, that time the distortion observed is to a very small extent. The reason why it is called as a tetragonal distortion is when we see such complexes along the z-axis, it looks like a tetragon. And for tetragonal distortion to take place, the ligands which are trans, which are present along the z-axis, the ligand which are trans and present along the z-axis, they should either move towards the metal cation or they should move away from the metal cation. If the ligands are moving towards the metal cation, we call such condition as tetragonal compression, or we call it as Z-in situation. And when the ligands are being away from the metal line, we will call such condition as tetragonal elongation, or it is called as Z-out situation. And a condition which causes such type of distortion is what is called as the Jahn-Taylor distortion or Jahn-Taylor theorem. And the theorem says that for a non-linear molecule, for an electronically degenerate state, it is unstable, and so as to get the stability, it will remove the degeneracy, and it will lower the symmetry and lower the energy, and that's why it will get stabilized, and this is what we call it as Jahn-Taylor theorem or Jahn-Taylor distortion. So now let us discuss the Z-in and Z-out condition in detail. Let us first of all discuss the tetragonal elongation or Z-out condition in detail. So as I said that if the EG orbitals are unsymmetrically filled, the distortion cause will be to a more extent. So let us discuss Z-out condition or tetragonal elongation. The thing is that what exactly happen is if suppose one of the d orbital, either dx square minus y square or dz square orbital, if one of them has got extra electron, then such kind of distortion is possible. And the thing is that if suppose dz square orbital has got one electron extra than dx square minus y square orbital, so the electron density will be high along the z-axis. If suppose the electron density is high along the z-axis, the ligands which are going to approach along the z-axis, they will experience more amount of repulsion, and that's why they will move away. So since the ligands approaching along the z-axis are going to experience more amount of repulsion, to minimize that repulsion, what will happen? What is going to happen is to get stability, those will move actually that is they will move away from the metal line. If you see this particular case, they are going to move away from the metal line, and the ligands which are going to approach along the x and y axis, since the ligand repulsion is going to get lower, because these ligands along the z axis, they are going to get away from each other, they will actually move towards the metal line. metal ion, towards the metal ion. And because of all this situation that is happening around, that the along the z-axis the ligands are moving away, and since they are moving away, now they are stable. So now they are stable means their energy is low, and that's the reason these Eg orbital, since along the dz square orbital their energy is low, the dz square orbital is going to get stabilized and it is going to have lower energy, whereas dx square minus y square orbitals, which are actually being towards the metal, they are going to have higher energy too. So dx square minus y square will have a higher energy, and this is how the Eg double they were previously doubly degenerate, and because of the Z out kind of situation that has caused the degeneracy actually is destroyed. And in case of T2G orbital, the Z component containing orbital like the dyz and dzx orbital, they again they are going to have a lower energy for the same reason, and the dxy orbitals, they are going to have the higher energy. And exactly the opposite situation is going to be there for Z in condition, that is for tetragonal compression. For tetragonal So what is going to happen for tetragonal compression means the dx square minus y square orbital this time will have one electron extra than dz square orbital. So these orbitals are going to experience more amount of repulsion. So the xy containing component containing orbitals are going to experience more amount of repulsion, and that's the reason the xy containing orbitals, they will move away from the metal so as to get the stability, and the other will move towards the metal. And so this is what we call it as tetragonal compression or tetragonal, we call it as Z in kind of situation. And since the xy containing orbitals are moving away from the metal cation, so the repulsion will be less and the energy will also be less. And so in this particular scenario, dx square minus y square orbital are going to have lower energy, and dz square orbital, because it is closer to metal cation, it will have more amount of energy. And similar explanation is for this also. So dxy. So for Z out, what was the condition for Z out? For Z out, the YZ and ZX were down and XY was up. So reverse condition is going to cause over here. YZ and ZX orbitals are going to have higher energy, and DXY, that is the dxy, is going to get stabilized. So this is actually called as Z in or tetragonal compression. So the thing is that then there are again two types of Jahn-Teller distortion taking place, that is static Jahn-Teller distortion and the other one is dynamic Jahn-Teller distortion. So static means what? In some of the complexes, the Jahn-Teller distortion is observed even if they are being in a solid state, in solution, like independent of temperature, even at the room temperature or low temperature, still they will be distorted. And such kind of distortion which is independent of temperature, we call it as static Jahn-Teller distortion. And when will the static Jahn-Teller distortion will be observed means when the Eg orbitals are unsymmetrically filled, we will observe static Jahn-Teller distortion. Then for dynamic Jahn-Teller distortion means when the T2G orbitals are unsymmetrically filled, as the name suggests, dynamic means it is going to depend on like it is going to be temperature dependent. So when the T2G orbitals are unsymmetrically filled, we will observe a dynamic Jahn-Teller distortion. So now let us discuss the consequences of Jahn-Teller distortion one by one. So the very first consequence of Jahn-Teller distortion is stability of Cu2 plus complexes. So the thing is that which is given by Irving-Williams series. So for a given ligand and a metal ion which is being in the same oxidation state, the stability of complexes increases as the size of the central metal ion is going to decrease. So the thing is that if you see if you see this particular series, the size of the central metal ion is going to decrease, and so as soon as the size is decreasing, the stability of complexes will increase. So actually the size for Zn2 plus is less, so actually the stability for Zn2 plus should have been more than Cu2 plus, but in reality Cu2 plus complexes are going to have higher stability than Zn2 plus, and that is because in Cu2 plus what we actually see is in Cu2 Cu2 plus, that is for D9 configuration, we see that the Jahn-Teller distortion is very high, that the two electrons actually they get stabilized, and only one electron will be raised by the energy of same amount, and that's why the copper 2 plus complexes are stable complexes because of the JTD happening in them, that is Jahn-Teller distortion happening in them. Then the thing is that if suppose we discuss the Cu2 plus complexes when it is with bidentate ligands, that is when it is forming a chelated complex, when a Cu, that is copper in the +2 state, when it is forming a chelated complex, that time the complex will be unstable. So but just now I have said that the Cu2 plus complexes are stable, but only when they are non-chelated. So when the Cu2 plus complexes, when they are chelated, they will be very, very unstable. Why? Means if you see this particular scenario, these two bonds, the axial bonds, they are longer, and that's why if you see the chelated complex this is, and if you see, because these two bonds are like they are very, very long, so they form they cause a kind of strain situation, they cause a lot of strain in the system, and that's why they are very, very unstable. Then if you discuss this condition, that is Cu ethylene diamine, there are two molecules of ethylene diamine and two molecules of H2O, so there are two bidentate ligand and two monodentate ligand. So the thing is that if so, in case of trans, if suppose we have a trans complex of them, so for trans complex the H2O will be on the extreme position, and then the ethylene diamine, that is the bidentate ligands, will be like this, and now you can see there is no strain as such. But if you see the cis complex, for cis complex the two H2 molecules on the same side, and they also have to be on the same side, and since they have to be on the same side, the axial bonds are longer, and that's why again they cause a strained kind of system over here. So that's why the cis form will be unstable and the trans form will be a stable form. So these are actually the consequences of Jahn-Teller distortion. There is one more consequence that I have to discuss. That is, suppose we have got the complexes of these particular ions, that is copper in the +2 state, Ag in +2 state, and Au in +2 state. We know that the copper in +2 state, because of JTD, is it is going to form a very stable complex, a very stable non-chelated complex it is going to form. But the thing is that this Au, because of the Jahn-Teller distortion, this Au actually is going, this Au in the +2 state is actually going to form a very, very unstable complex. Why? Means the reason is this Cu, because of JTD, forms a stable complex, and this Au in the +2 state, because of JTD, forms an unstable complex. And the reason is, as we go down the group, I have told this in the factors affecting video, that as we go down the group, what is going to happen, the delta value, that is the splitting energy, is going to increase, the delta value is going to increase. That's why the one electron, this is they are actually going to give a Z out kind of situation. So the one electron that is going to be present in the dx square minus y square orbital of this Au2 will be at a very, very high energy, and since it is going to be at very high energy, it will be very unstable. So either it readily undergoes disproportionation. It will either get oxidized to form Au in +3, that is by giving out this electron, so that it gets the stability, or it may get reduced so as to form that is Au in the +2 +1 complexes. So this is how the Au in the +2 is very, very unstable, and that is actually a consequence of Jahn-Teller distortion. Then one of the consequences of Jahn-Teller distortion is that if the absorption bands, they actually split. For those complexes in which the Jahn-Teller distortion is observed, their absorption bands actually get split, and the reason actually is JTD. Okay, so now we have discussed the consequence, what is actually like everything about Jahn-Teller distortion. Now we will see when a strong Jahn-Teller distortion is going to cause, and when weak Jahn-Teller distortion is going to cause, and when no Jahn-Teller distortion is going to cause, because they are very, very helpful in solving the numericals. So now let us see quickly. Suppose we have got D1. what is going to happen? One electron is going to fill in the T2g orbital. So again, this is an unsymmetrical filling of electron. So unsymmetrical filling of electron. So yes, here the JTD will be observed, but this will be a weak Jahn-Taylor distortion. Why? Because the T2g orbitals are unsymmetrically filled over here. Suppose I have got D3. So D3, how I am going to arrange 1, 2 and 3. So if you see, there is a symmetrical arrangement of electrons. So since symmetrical arrangement of electron, no Jahn-Taylor distortion. Correct. Now if suppose I have got, I am talking about high spin complexes, say, and suppose I have got 4 unpaired electrons. So high spin, so I have got 4 electrons in the d orbital. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. Now if you see, there is an unsymmetrical arrangement of electrons in the EG orbitals. So yes, so it is going to observe a very strong Jahn-Taylor distortion. And this is what actually happens in copper 2 complexes also. That is, copper, when it is being the +2 state, it is going to have D9 electrons, right? So it is going to be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. If you see, the unsymmetrical arrangement of electron is there in the EG orbital, and that's why it is going to show a very strong Jahn-Taylor distortion. And this is how the Jahn-Taylor distortion can be explained. And in the next video, we will discuss some of the previous year's questions, along with there are some extra points also from this topic which are to be noted. I'll discuss them in the next video along with the previous year's question on Jahn-Taylor distortion. So that's all for this video. If you would have liked the video, like, share, comment, subscribe, and don't forget to hit the bell icon. Thank you.